Selwood EQ. And yeah, I'm back on my Beastlord. Beastlord has been a pet class that I have had a little trouble getting my head around. This Beastlord is actually a Beastlord I made. When did I make him? I don't know what the command is to find out when the character was created. Huh, that's weird. Kind of forgot that command. Anyway, yeah, if you know the command, I don't know, put it in the bottom of this. I'm going to guess that I made this character originally back in about 03. Maybe, something like that. Maybe 04, 03, 04, somewhere in there. Even back then, Beastlords were considered to be very overpowered. I'm going to talk while I fight because I am trying to max out my A's on this guy still. He's an alt. And, oops, I like to have the targeting ring. There we go. And I'm just going to try to talk while I do this. So my idea is that I'm just going to tell you what my Beastlord setup is on this. And it's pretty, I've got it down now, and I've understood what the best for me for grinding. Okay, I have killed a rare. Now the rares are really easy in this X pack, and that's going to be rectified. I think in the next one they're going to be super hard. So there's going to be that, but for right now, I do believe, I can heal my pet perfectly fine. Killing rares, so I can use the DPS merc when I'm doing it, kind of like I did on my Necro one time, is just to see if I could do it with him. And I did with him easily, actually. It takes longer, but see, I don't have this guy's AAs maxed, and especially the focus. The only focus A I have is the is that the oops? Sorry. Is the defile one? What the heck is? Which one is it? The synergy one. Right? Yeah, Wallop. Yeah, that's the one. See, look at me. I was totally distracted. Wasn't doing anything. And pet's fine. That's the kind of vibe I like. I'm grinding. But it's slow. The DPS, I think almost when you're playing solo, this is going to be really hard to find a character that's going to be able to deal the same kind of DPS a Necro can do solo. Necros basically almost do group DPS. Now maybe not a very good group, maybe even a small group, but still a group. Just on their own. When the fights are a little longer, like they tend to be when you're soloing. So. I am going to get more constructive here. But as you can see, the solo pace is pretty slow, but I've got it down to a point where I can maintain a fairly good mana level, while at the same time killing things reasonably, at least as fast as my Necro, as far as grinding goes on the XP mobs. I mean, you know, I'm not using a healer merc. I'm using a DPS merc, but I'm using a merc. So, and you know, my necro he uses a merc. Frankly, I think I would almost. I might argue that you could probably get away with not using a merc at all through necro. But the mana is definitely very doable. You know, I can kill all these little dog-looking things or wolf-looking things in this general area for grinding my AA XP. I can do that pretty easily. And still, you know, by the time they're all gone, be at about half mana. If I'm really concentrating on being efficient. Okay, I'm gonna just go over here so I can talk and go over the buttons and everything and stuff. By the time I'm done talking, hopefully I can start over and be done with the video as far as my AA grinding goes. All right, so you can forget this. I was experimenting with certain. This is almost that kind of an anything. So I use these. I like to make buttons for my spell things, right? So I'm gonna load my buffs. Sorry, I was yawning. I think I need a drink here. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So from here down with buffs, this is the Alliance buff. Here, I'm going to go ahead and show everything. It's the Alliance buff. Dire Bite. I've experimented with the other ways of getting a proc on your pet. And this Dire Bite debuff proc is probably about the best option. It's the most consistent option. You can just kind of put it on, forget it. It's going to stay on there. I don't like the buffs that Beastlords have that have a count on them necessarily, with the exception of the one that heals the pet heal one. Revitalizing Water. This one here, it's on a pitch count, but and I'm not talking about time. I mean, it only goes off and it'll fade, but it, you know, heals the water by a certain amount. I assume it can be critted. The heal portion of this is about the same level of the life tap portion, extra life tap you can put on a necro pet. So the only difference is this does no damage to the mob and the necro one does, which really makes that buff better. But I start that off with you'll see. All right, so, but I use this. Some of the other one loses aggro. I don't like that generally. I've flirted between the protective stance and aggressive stance for my pet. And I've landed I like that using the protection instead of aggressive for the most part when I'm soloing. I never group really, so it's just going to be protection all the time. You don't have to worry so much about your pet. You really don't have to worry that much when you're in aggressive stance either. But with that said, it really doesn't do all that much more DPS. And you have so many extra buffs that helps with accuracy that you're doing with your various stuff that you're doing that transfer over to your pet, that it hits stuff. You don't have to worry too much about it missing too much, I don't think. Of course, then again, I don't parse. if you're a parser and you're gonna, you think I'm full of crap, I probably am full of crap compared to the detail that you like to operate at. I'm just this right here is for just a dude or a lady that has played EverQuest in the past. They've gotten out of touch with the game. They just want to get back in the game and not have to deal with any guild drama, and they don't have enough time for any kind of raiding nonsense and stuff. They just want to be in the game to be able to have fun, an hour or two when they have some free time. They're probably a little older, like middle aged, like me, and if they're not an empty nester yet, they're probably pretty close, or maybe not. Maybe whatever. They got kids, family. Maybe they have been divorced and they're just going to a sadder route, I guess, if you will. And okay, fine, that's your life. And I would suggest if you're, I don't know, I'm not gonna do you. It's fine. My point is, if you don't think you have time to play this like you're freaking 15 years old anymore, you're not alone. You can play the game and it can still be fun in a very chill kind of manner. And I would suggest any of the pet classes, really. But I gravitate more toward the Necro. I'm starting to dig the Beastlord a little bit more, that I'm getting a little better at it. Beastlord is billed as a pet class that's really easy to play. I think the buffs and a lot of the spells and abilities you have can be a little confusing. And you could walk away thinking, number one, your pet can't hold aggro for crap. And it's very easy to feel like you're not doing any DPS and the pet stinks also, and it just isn't working. Much easier with this class than it is the Necro or the Mage. I think this class is a lot harder than Necro or Mage, in my opinion. Okay, so then this is the haste that also puts haste on your whole group and everything. This is great. And this is the Unity spell that puts a couple buffs on you. It puts this one on you, and I think this one, yeah, which are great. Everybody loves those. This right here, I just keep it in this spot because it takes a long time to refresh, so that's why it's not really it's a combat thing that I have in every one of my combat lineups. I just don't want it to be undone. And these right here are always on my bar. This right here is a ferocity one. I don't know if they're ever going to do an upgrade to this, or maybe there is one and I'm not aware of it, but this is a level 100 spell that is just, you just always need to have this on. It does so much stuff, right? Triple attack, resistances, attack rating, stamina. The biggest thing for this is the triple attack, I think. And the attack rating, even if it's a smaller amount because it's so old, it helps. Then this right here is another buff that is a little bit shorter term, so I keep it on my bar all the time. It does a bunch of stats and everything, hit points. And of course, this sort of Spirit of the Wolf type of thing that shamans have, but also gives buffs your attack rating also. That reason alone is why it goes over most Spirit of Wolf type buffs, because this does the attack rating. So that's the buff lineup and that I do for spells. And you just saw me using those. That's all for the buffs and everything that I do. I use DPS mercs when I'm soloing. I've tried just using the healer merc. The fights are a lot longer with the healer merc, even though I have to pay a lot less attention. You can tell by the two fights I had in this video, I wasn't paying that close attention there either. and I was doing fine. The pet wasn't even close to being dying. It's just a trash mob, true, but it's fine. Even the rare mob, it's all about trying to do DPS with this class, because it can very easily feel a bit lackluster, and you really just have to make sure you balance your mana pool with the DPS efforts that you're putting into doing that for that. So that's the trick with this one, I think, anyway. And these are the stuff I use. This right here. That's the swarm pet thing. And I got the 3-dot things that we have. It's one of each spell type that we have: the disease, poison, and I believe that's magic. No, cold. Disease, poison, and cold resists are the resists that we use for our dots. These do not land all the time. The resist rate on these, maybe there's an AA I haven't gotten to quite yet that might help with that, but they get resisted a decent amount. It's a little irritating, but it's not that they're kind of extra. It's not like a necro that you rely on dot damage and you really need all your dots to land for you to be efficient with what you're doing. These right here, they're not parsley, but they're just sort of extra. I still use them. This right here is an amazing nuke that we have. It's the only nuke I ever use. And as you can read it here, it's just crazy. It's 3 nukes in one, all of them in the same 1600 damage range type of thing. And then it recasts one more. So it's like 4 nukes in one shot, man. It's crazy awesome. You would think that you'd see the health bar go down more than it does from the mobs. I think it's because I'm technically a hybrid. I'm not a caster. So the bonuses you get from critting with something like are less. A pure caster, I believe, has the crit bonus is higher than for like some sort of like a melee character for spells. Now for weapon procs, it's different for melee people, characters. Revitalizing of order, I killed that. This goes on every time I send my pet in. And this is a regular pet heal. This is a delayed heal, and this is a heal over time. And that's bound to this button here, which I just mash. And I hit that after I go through all the buttons, like, I send everything in, I put the dots on, a little nukage, some discipline, and AA action. Once I do this first round at the end of it, that's when I do all the heals on the pet. And the pet by then is down to maybe, if it's a pretty tough mob, maybe around 70% or so. That's why I don't do it right off the bat. If it's a rare, I'll do it off the bat just to make sure. Then to get this, and I already showed these. These are on there all the time. It's also kind of handy if you want to be nice and see somebody that's maybe up in POK, that's a new person. Everybody that's playing the game now, that's been in for several years, they're all running boxes. Almost all of them. I think I'm the only one that solos on this whole server. I'm unique, if you will. But if you see somebody who hasn't played in a long time and they're not really boxing or anything, they might be able to use this buff here, or your sort of poor man's shaman type buffs that you could throw on them. So I like having all that stuff on. I don't have enough room for all the buffs and all the offensive things I need. So if I did try to, when I was running with my healer merc, I put all the buffs on there, plus I think I just had just the dots on and the swarm pet on, and then everything else was this was filled in with all the buffs I need, so I don't have to switch back and forth. And the fights were just too slow. I mean, it was just slow. I mean, I play Necro as a main, and I'm no stranger to slow, but man, this was slow. For just trash mobs, it was painfully slow. So I did not like it. Okay, so that's the spell lineup here. I'm not going to go. You can see what all these are on your own a bit. I mean, some of these, if you want me to do a beginner's guide for this class, I'm not the best person to do it. You need to go somewhere else. But if you're somebody who's toyed with this class and you're just curious how I play it, this is how I play it from a non-boxer, just soloing, just I want to have fun type of perspective. I can do everything with this character I need to do to get up to the T3 or max group level type gear for the current X pack. And that's all I really care about. I don't care about raid gear. Once in a while I'll get lucky on a ultra rare drop that gets me a low level type of raid gear class item, you know. But that happens maybe a handful of times a year. I don't try to get fully outfitted in that stuff. It's just, you know, I'm not gonna. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. All right, so that's the slow. AA slow is all we ever really need to use. It gets resisted a lot. You're gonna have to recast it a good amount. But I just have that by itself. The rest of these are macros, and it's the pet attack. Got a Merc assist in there to make so I don't have to, so I can have call assist on for my DPS Merc. All that is cast 6 is the vitality one. This right here, Beastlord. This right here will it's a nice buff that you need on there to help with the accuracy by 75%. See, I mean, your accuracy is a little lower with your protection stance on your pet, but this helps mitigate that quite a lot. And the extra 12% damage mitigation that comes with that protection buff stance is invaluable. 12% mitigation by 12%. There you go. Armor class 80. Helps a little. Hate generated is extra, and that kind of helps a bit. The accuracy is lowered by 34%, but you have a buff that puts on that buffs it up by 75%. So you're still doing fine with the accuracy. With that said, everybody complains about combat pets missing a lot. Whatever. And this is this one here. This has got a nuke. This nuke is at the end of it. The Maelstrom nuke. It's my nickname for it because it changes It's always got Maelstrom in the name of it. Then it has some current X-Pack flavor name on the front. Then the rest of these are just, you know, various AAs and disciplines. That's a discipline. That's an AA. Just whatever I can do to slap on a little extra damage. And then these are the dots. My pauses are set at 30. That's 3 seconds. And that seems to cast them at most. My lag is pretty low, so that seems to be due. You might want to add 5 onto them to make them 35 instead of 30. If you want to make sure, you know, you're suffering because of lag or something to make it work. So the pet heals I already showed. I have 2 buttons that I have to use on rares. I like to keep them on the bar for this guy. I hit this one first on number 9. That is the Pet Fort, Pet Fury, or Blood Rage. This Blood Rage one sucks. Well, it doesn't really suck, but good God Almighty, it's here it is right here. It really lowers the pet doesn't hold aggro. I mean, it's a noticeable difference. It reduces the hate by 57%. So, but it lasts over twice as long as other pet classes have for theirs, and it does. You can definitely see a damage benefit to it big time. So a lot of people like it better. That's because everybody boxes. They don't care. They don't rely on the pet to hold aggro when they're fighting a rare or doing some kind of mission or something. As a solo guy, I need my pet to hold aggro, but the damage is so good with this, I just can't say no to it. So I just try to mitigate. That's why I have this drop aggro one, which is good here. This right here, every Beastlord, you need to have one of these if you want to solo even a little bit. Okay. This right here is playing possum. Okay. And it's got a fast refresh time of 15 seconds, and it's sort of like it's like an FD, but it's not reliable enough to be really used as an FD necessarily. But what you do is you use it to drop your aggro if your pet's being lame and you can't hold your aggro. Early portions when you're leveling up a Beastlord, here and there you're gonna have trouble with aggro, your pet holding aggro. You're gonna have trouble with it. So, but never fear. You can make this button, put it on your bar here, tap it once in a while, and this playing possum is not going to wipe the aggro every time, but it does it most, I would say, better than 50%. I would say 70, 75% of the time, maybe even 80% of the time, it's going to drop all your aggro and you're good to go. And plus, it just looks cool, man. I mean, check us out. It's just boop and then boom. It's crazy, man. I just like, it's kind of an old school monk thing when you see that. When I was leveling a monk back up in the day, long time ago, it would you have to practice your FD skills, so you're doing that when you're fighting a lot, especially solo or something, and it was brought back memories. So I think it's funny. So it's playing possum. You only need like a pause 5 for it, because you don't want this to take forever, because you're in a fight and you want to keep doing your melee DPS and the procs and all the stuff that you're doing with that. So basically FD, it's a very slight pause, then it's going to stand you back up. I know it says sit, but it's going to stand you back up out of FD, and a slight pause to make sure your attack can come on back again with what you're fighting. Your target, it's not going to drop who your target is, so you're still going to have your target on to whatever you were fighting. So you don't need to retarget anything with it, which is nice. This is just Paragon. I also have the heal for you with the Warder's Gift. Sometimes that might be something I might want to do if the Consume Spirit. If I'm getting beat on by an ad or something like that, you're gonna want to heal yourself, and the Consume Spirit hits your hit points down about 25% or so. So having a quick heal coming from your super tanky pet helps. And this right here is the rest of the other stuff. These burns I have for the rares. So I'll do this first until these wear off, and then I'll hit this one to hopefully get me over the hump, so without taking forever for the rare I'm fighting. And this is the FD. This right here is False Death, which is basically the same thing as it's the fade that we get. It's like Death's Effigy, like SKs and Necros get. And then this right here is playing possum. I haven't labeled these. Again, this is I haven't labeled everything on this guy, so oh well, This is just an invis, so I always have to sit on an invis. because I sit down a decent amount, and it acts as a nice, if I have to FD with like for pulling or something, I've FD'd for a pull, then I hit this to be able to come out of the FD. And this oh crap button, this is a big thing too. All right, see your false death. This right here counts for your pet also. But if you hit this and your pet is still on attack mode, it's going to keep fighting. So it doesn't matter if your pet dropped its aggro. So if you want to make sure you save your pet when you're using false death, and you want to use it as more of an escape and not a pulling tool, that's why I made this separate button here. You have to have pet back off, so it stops its stupid attacking before it drops its aggro. And then everything will be fine. I have it on 2 lines instead of just 1, just to make sure there's a bit more of a delay, because the pet, you got server lag, and you got lag and stuff that can affect it. I used to have 3 lines of back off, and that was a little bit too much of a delay for me to use it to get out of trouble when I really need it. So I felt, the button is a little more responsive to save your life and your pet's life. I'm always into saving my pet's life with my pet classes because I gear them up. And I'm just going to use this right here. And I've geared this guy up. On the visible gear that would go like on your chest and legs and arms and stuff like that, the visible gear is the summon gear on this guy. I'm not going to go crazy. He's an alt. And then but I do have other items on the face. I got this on the face. And I got Merc gear for, the ears, left ear, right ear. Where's the rings? Left and right finger. I like putting these on. So all the non-visibles are covered. Waist, I use this, so he gets a 43% on that. So, the gear is good. The weapons is probably what you're mostly concerned or interested in. And I got 2 of these on, because again, class doesn't matter for pets, and neither does lore. You can have 2 of the same lore items on your pet, and it's perfectly fine. This is a warrior sword that increases hate. It gives a small amount of damage, but it also increases extra for the anger. It can't be just that little. I don't know how much it technically enrages or that adds more, what would you call it? Hate onto your pet, because the damage itself does that already. But these do. They work, they work well. That actually the summoned aggro axes or whatever, the summoned ones, they probably do better for the aggro portion, but they don't have near as good a stats. I mean, with all the AC and hit points you're getting from having 2 of these weapons on your pet really helps out. As plus, these help a bit too. You got more attack rating. I'm gathering that the pets use more of that stuff than I originally thought. So again, the specifics on exactly what it uses, what it doesn't, it's somewhere maybe, but it's not something I'm offering. I don't get that deep. I don't need to have fun. I'm killing stuff. I'm having fun. I'm able to kill stuff on my own to be able to get what I need to keep having fun from one X pack to the other. I'm good. It's not like I don't like people. I like people. I don't know these people. I don't know you. I don't know any people on the internet. Not really. So, while I'm sure you're very nice and you're a good person and we can have fun in a game together and stuff, I don't like to get super personal online. I don't think it's wise. There's lots of spear phishing you're just asking for by just making it common knowledge for certain details about your life that can be used against you if you're not you know, watching your P's and Q's like a hawk whenever you open your email, you know. What else? Put in the comments section if you have any questions, or I might refer you to, there's a guy that has a channel, 12 strings. He knows, he boxes a bit, but oh, there's my, make him small. I like my dinosaur. I think I'm just going to have him as a dinosaur instead of, for a while, instead of my scorpion. Yeah, 12 strings. Maybe he plays guitar or something. I don't know. He evidently likes to cook. It's good his channel. He's got a lot of good EQ videos. He knows, he's pretty in depth with his knowledge of various classes he plays. And he knows Beastlord's way better than me. I've gone to his channel. Go there. Hammock J, if that's how you say it. He's got a pretty good channel too, but he boxes more, and he's a little more necro specific. He's more of a sort of a kind of an EverQuest live entertainer. His goal is more to entertain and kind of do stuff to bring in more viewers and do the streaming thing. But you know, he knows what he's doing pretty good. So I like 12 strings for instructional things for a lot of classes. He has a good amount of knowledge about certain classes, and when he doesn't know something, he's just straight up about it. Boom. Look, I don't know that, but you know, this is what I do, or something like that, right? He's just, what he says, you know, he's not going to try to pretend he doesn't know what he knows something he doesn't really know. I apologize for my first pet video I did that got a lot of views. Some of that stuff I put out there was definitely very wrong. I was still in sort of an old school mindset, even more so than now. And yeah, there's some information on there that is, I don't know if they've changed it or what, but anyway. What else? This is a invisibility to undead potion I gotta have with this guy occasionally if I need it. There are some things, my burn, like I said, this and this are not, there's so many of them for the Beastlord, and I could add more, but I mean, I already got 2 freaking buttons, man. So I gotta, you know, there's attack warder, there's a few things that I haven't added on to when I'm fighting a rare, so that's something I gotta shore up. But you know, when I'm just fighting trash to get AAs, it's a nice slow but steady kind of stress-free kind of a thing, man. You just do your thing. You have to worry about your pet even less than what I'm gonna make it. Make him that anyway. But it's you know, it's pretty stress-free, you know. You just do your thing. The pet is just real reliable. Okay, I set the pet end. I hit number 3 twice. I'm gonna hit my number 4 button, the disc nuke, once, and then I'm gonna hit my dots. I've not hit a heal on my pet at all yet. And as you can see, you know, what level is this? It's a 123 mob, trash mob. Now I'm gonna spam 3 times my pet heals. That was the promise. This is the regular heal, and this is the heal over time that stays on for like 2 minutes, right? And I just did consume spirit. I'm not gonna bother healing myself from that. I'm an XR, regenerate, and plus there's other elements of stuff that you do that gives you some regeneration. And then I just kind of, so you saw me, I hit number 3, then I just hit 4. This right here is an important buff that is tied into this button here. And then these 4 things plus that nuke are tied into this button here. So I kind of go back and forth between these 2 buttons. There you go. I just put a promise heal on. He's lost some health. I don't need to worry about anything. I got the promise heal on there. He'll get popped back up there really well. He's not going to lose his hit points very fast. As you can see, it's not a super fast. I mean, I'm soloing. Even with the DPS mark, it's still soloing. The promised heal on my pet. And that should be about the end of my participation in this mob's killing, because he will be dead any moment. And there we go. So a little more, I would say it's almost the same for grinding as far as button mashing goes as my Necro now. It's probably no coincidence. I like that style, so maybe that's why I figured out how to play this Beastlord. So it was a similar amount of button mashing that I have to do for my Necro. Feels like I'm babysitting more, but then again, I'm using a healer merc on my Necro, so it's more hands off, you know. But it's cool. I like watching the karate animations, you know, your character does. That's why I block the pact of the Warreen or whatever this thing is. That makes you look like a werewolf. I'm not going to be, I don't like doing that. So you don't need to really be anal retentive about not casting over this, making it, having to wait longer for the payoff of this delayed heal. The pet's not, when you're in protection mode, it's not going to lose hit points very fast. You don't need to worry about it. And this DPS market really helps a good amount. I don't know what it backstabs for as far as damage goes, but it's max AA. My merc is pretty much max AA. The healer and the DPS merc are both max for their AAs. And I got I got this grandiose gear on it. So as far as my gear, I can go over my gear. I just got T1 visible gear, and mostly, I got a few. I do have the pet earring. This is the T3 pet earring, which gives EM26, and that's the pet I have, right? So I'll con my pet. See, he's only level 121. It's the same level that you get when you have EM25, actually, but there's the EM26 pet's a little better. Now, half the time, I don't even bother making sure the slow stick. Excuse me. Oh, wow, that was bad. Sorry. I don't worry about the slow sticking that much, because the pet is just awesome. Really don't have to worry. The only time I really want to make sure it sticks is on a rare. So I have to cast it like 4 or 5 times. You know? Because the rares is when you really can tell, oh yeah, this mob's slowed. Or this mob is not slowed. I can tell by how much damage my pet's taken. So you want to try to make sure you get them slowed. I still do the slow, the Necro Ghetto slow. I call it a Ghetto slow. That I can do with my Necro. I do that on rares too. I guess not always. Sometimes I use the rune. I have a spell set that substitutes a rune for my pet. Instead of that, it's like a cascading death rune or something. So I'm going to finish this mob here. And as you can just look at my pet. I haven't slowed him. He's doing fine. I'm just putting promised, delayed heals on him. There's no sweat. The weapon I'm using is also the group gear, the T3 group gear max group level of a weapon. I just near the end when it's like under 10%, I throw in the one last promise heal to make sure that start if he's not at 100% health right now, we'll start a fight. He'll get a little heal boost there. I'm just going to go back up. I like to start here on this. So I just, when I'm grinding, I've just been grinding these wolf things in this area right over by where Dreadeye, the dreaded red eye, rare bug. Incidentally, this rare is where he'll drop what you need to get the pet earring. Right here, the ingredient, whatever clasp or whatever. You can also get that clasp in this zone also from Shoru, so like a rare bird they call raptors for some reason. You can get it off him too. So that's about it. I don't know. It's a little bit of thing. I've upgraded my enjoyment of the Beastlord a little bit more. I still like my Necro a lot better, but new X pack isn't out. I got everything I would want on my Necro. I'm just doing Overseer experience for my Necro's Mage persona to level that up, so that he can just make his own pet gear, and I'll have to either try to find it on the bazaar, or he can just have it himself. I don't care about leveling the mage persona as far as for gear or anything like that goes. I just want to be able to have the spells to be able to, And the non-visible gear for my Necro translates over to the mage really well, and it stays on. He can, once he gets up in levels, he'll be able to use that. And all you really have to worry about is the visible gear for your persona, if you choose that kind of a combo. Now, for example, if I had my Necro and I chose a Shadow Knight persona, that's another story. You're going to have to get everything, right? But if you do INT caster, and then if the different INT caster sort of as a persona, you can reuse stuff, and it's a little bit less of a hassle. It's a little last tip on the whole persona thing. That's what I did with him for that free persona I got. Incidentally, when you do persona also, you will get a merc slot. So if you just had one, you'll have two. A long time ago, I bought extra merc slots, so every character I make has 4 merc slots, because it transfers even across. It's an account thing. But I noticed on my main, on my Necro, he's got 5 now. He got an extra slot because of the mage persona he has. So I thought that was kind of something that people may not know also. So that's kind of cool for the persona thing. You get an extra merc slot, right? Did I go over this? Okay. I am trying to wrap it up. I promise. Okay. I like the frogs. Okay. um, I only needed, because I like to use the damage, melee damage guys so much. I really only needed to be able to. You need 2 DPS, melee DPS mercs if you choose to use a Beastlord like I am, because you're going to want to have cleric buffs on for you and your pet, right? But the only way you do that, you're going to have to switch over. So let's say I want to switch over to rebuff. So I switch over to a healer merc. Same coloring. Yes, I like that. These two are the same colors too. I think I covered that before. So he's here. Okay, now then you buff up, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, I want to go back to the other one. Nope. You got to wait like 5 minutes. But if you have this melee, you can go. I'm not going to do it now because then I'll be stuck and have to wait for 5 minutes. But I can go to this one right away. This other melee damage merc, which is what I'll do once I'll just show it. Fine, I'll show it. Then I'll get off. I promise. I'll be done talking, and you won't have to listen to me. So I redid that cleric buff. I canceled my pet's going to get a new buff, cleric buff. I'm going to do the spell, haste, and melee, guard. I think you already did the... Wow, I kept that the whole time. I'm going to redo his melee guard also for the pet, so it's fresh. Okay, now the rest of the other buffs. Let me get buffs on. Now the rest of these buffs and everything, I would recommend don't try to switch while this is doing that, because sometimes it kind of messes your mercs up a little bit. So I got the buffs on. I don't need to buff this guy. I'm just using him for him to buff me. I don't need him to be buffed with my buffs. So I'm going to put melee damage. Boom. Go back to this guy. Went from Spanky to Spunky. And now I can buff. And I'm going to use that guy now. You have to redo because technically it's a new group. Then I just buff. And we do the bite. And we'll do the protection. That's offensive, so I have to skip that. And I go to the haste. The Unity haste puts on a proc that does a bit of damage, but it also lowers the aggro. And as a soloer, I don't want that one. So I always just use the highest level regular haste. I don't use the Unity one. I just use the Unity hit point class buffs or whatever on this Unity one right here. And I'll just sit back down and I will load up my combat spells and I'll be ready to go. All right. And speaking of ready to go, I'm going to go and I'm just going to play a little bit more. And you guys can be done listening to me yak about stuff that you may not have cared about. Some of it you did. I'll let you parse through it. Hopefully I was helpful on some stuff. But yeah, so Beastlords are kind of cool. They're functional. And if this is more your vibe, you might want to try playing yours kind of like this, set up similar type of things. If you want to know how to level Beastlord really well, Hammock J, look that guy up. He's probably pretty good for that. And if you want to know more detailed stuff that you might be able to use raiding or really to play a Beastlord at a higher level, try to look up some of the stuff that 12 Strings has for it. And I'm sure he can help you out really well too. He seems to know the class really well. And that's it, man. This is OEDQ. Rock on. I'll see you next time.